In IMSA racing, if it's January, then it must be Daytona International Speedway. But for the 2018 season, we're making history, as there's a competitive element to the Raw before the Rolex 24 for the very first time. The history of the 3.5-mile road circuit here at Daytona International Speedway is undoubted, and the challenges posed by that tricky infield section, linked by the high banks of the Speedway turns, is undoubted. And as the sun glints down over Lake Lloyd, we're ready to go racing for the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. Hello everybody, I'm John Hindorf and welcome to the 2018 IMSA racing season. Alongside me in the IMSA radio booth are Shea Adam and Jeremy Shaw. And yes, I said racing. Typically, this is a test weekend for the teams that will be taking part in the Rolex 24 at Daytona. But this year, the IMSA Prototype Challenge kick it off with a race. Some things haven't changed from last year. The big V8s have still got the roof over the driver's head. The Mazda 4-cylinder engine cars are still open-topped. And still people making mistakes in this cold and chilly weather. Lance Wilsey has looped his Extreme Speed Motorsports Ligier before we've even got round to the green flag. As the grid runs through there, those are the starting drivers. There are two drivers in most of these cars at the front of the field, and that's a change for this year. We will be seeing pit stops and driver changes. IMSA reacting to the requests of the teams and entrants, making the races longer, more of a real introduction to endurance. And we'll be racing at Daytona next. The 2018 IMSA racing season is about to get underway at the Raw before the 24, as we have the first event in this IMSA development series, the Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. Just getting a little bit of a split between the V8s and the 4-cylinder cars. Green flag is in the air and we're racing in 2018. Good start from the pole sitter. Down to the inside, across the tricky transition into turn one. Be very careful, gentlemen. Those Continental tyres are still a little bit cold, not up to temperature or pressure, hovering just above the freezing point here, but that hasn't cooled down the racing on this first lap, has it? My goodness me, down towards the international hairpin, the international horseshoe for the first time. The leaders have gone through. Here comes the Mazda Prototype Challenge field. That's nice and tight as well. Austin McCusker in the 47 Motorsport entered Norma M30. He shares that with David Drew. As predicted, the bigger engine cars getting their tyres up to temperature pretty well in cold conditions here. Chris Wright in the number 30 in third position, already falling down to the back of the field, the 24. That is one of the 4-cylinder cars, Tim George, and he had a spin on the infield as well. Shea Adam.
He looped it coming out of the international horseshoe, John. The first time of asking through, Dr. George didn't quite make it, but he managed to continue round with no problems. And coming off of NASCAR Turn 2, we already have a battle for the lead.
Side by side, this is what we were hoping for. Big drafting. The leader just about has the inside line, but has to hit the curb very hard into the first part of the bus stop.
And that's a change for the lead already. We're not even done with the first lap, and Michael Weldon leads it for Ligier, but Norma is fighting back in the hands of Austin McCusker,
who flips to the high side and gets a little bit of a run onto the tri-oval. They're side by side, end of the first lap. It could be that McCusker will be shown as the leader at the end of the first lap, and people will think that nothing has changed since the start of the race. He is shown by 0.026 of a second, but he's having to go the long way around into the first corner and outbrakes himself. Down the inside, Weldon in the black and green car manages to cede back the position behind, still in third place, Wright, and then Gibson, the first of the Masters class runners in that RV. That's the only other non-Ligier in that LMP3 class. In MPC, the Mazda Prototype Challenge class, it is Robert Masson that leads. Stuart Retty in second place, the 11 and 21, and they're split by nothing at all. less than a tenth of a second between those two as they went underneath us at the start of their, at the end of their first lap, the start of their second, and then Wyatt Schwab in third position a couple of seconds further back, so a bit of a gap opening up.
And the two veterans there, Robert Masson and Stuart Reddy, both starting some way down the order in the 17th and 19th positions respectively overall. They come across leading in MPC in 13th and 14th.
Oh, great shot that we've just had there with the big prototypes on the outside of the banking and still cars working their way around the infield.
Michael Weldon blew the exit of turn 6, and that's what allowed the 47 of Austin McCusker to retake the lead as they went through the banking portion of the track. Now the Ligier has to try and fight back as they exit the bus stop and continue around the lap. It's fighting on the portion where it's not necessarily stronger, so the Norma able to pull a little bit of a gap, but it is just that, a little bit of a gap.
So the battle further back down the field in the Prototype Challenge category. Masson in the 11 leads from the 21, Stuart Reddy, then Wyatt Schwab. 86 is the next car up, and again we're seeing people who are very, very comfortable going to the high side here, Shane, using the aero. All of these cars making quite a large hole in the air, and you can use that, the draft, the slingshot being used perfectly there by Wyatt Schwab to go past past Robert Masson rather, and take the position.
And Dr. Robert Masson is a driver who really started coming into his own.
That was for the lead of MPC.
It was.
Where's Stuart Reddy gone? He's dropped back.
Dropped down to third. Our MPC Masters champion from last year, Dr. Masson really gave that a run for its money, but he didn't come into form until the end of season. He is right on it from the beginning of the season, but again, he's got a youngster to do battle with.
But look behind the blue and white car of Stuart Reddy, has dropped more than a second now. Lovely bit of overtaking by Wyatt Schwab in that Remedia sponsored Performance Tech Motorsports car from Millersville. And he's all of a sudden pulled a gap. So whatever's happened there, halfway around the first lap, Shea, it seems that Wyatt Schwab has switched on.
His goal, his dream in life is to race in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship one day. The biggest race of the year, arguably for that, the Daytona 24 Hours. He's auditioning right now, John. Top
6 at the front end of the field. The LMP3 cars are only 3.5 seconds. And Roman De Angelis, the man, one of the men who set alight another development series last year, the IMSA Porsche GP3 Cup Challenge USA.
And Canada.
And Canada, yes, he did do both the challenges, didn't he? And Roman De Angelis in 5th position has just set the fastest first sector of anyone, and he pulls within a couple of seconds of the leaders, but he's got 3 cars between himself and the leader. He's got the number 44 of Gary Gibson, then Chris Wright, then the Weldon car, and then the pole sitter is back in the lead again. McCusker then, having claimed the first pole position in that number 47 Motorsports, 40 and 7.
We have our first pit caller ever of this series. It is the number 42 of Jim Garrett. He's with P1 Motorsports, sharing the car with Robbie Foley. He does come into their pit box. Now, it's too soon for the driver change.
I was going to say it.
And there is a mandated rule in the series. If you're going to take fuel, your minimum pit stop time is 4 minutes from when you cross the pit entrance line to when you cross the pit exit line. If you don't do fuel, you can take as long as you want. He's been stationary for a while. There's no fuel, no tires, so something bigger is going on with that car.
Yeah, the car's come to a dead stop. There's nobody over the wall to meet him. There's an IMSA official looking, and now somebody running up pit lane. That's not a expected pit stop, unexpected pit stop. Action at the front of the field, and you won't miss a moment of it. The 2018 season is underway early in January at Daytona International Speedway for the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. Meantime, the battle for second is on. Roman De Angelis right up behind Chris Wright. De Angelis in the black with the orange striped LMP3 car. That's a Ligier. Exactly the same chassis and engine combination as the car in front. Takes a really tight exit from turn 5, which is the effective exit from the infield. That West End hairpin. Oh, brilliant manoeuvre. Brilliant manoeuvre. Sucker Chris Wright defending tight into turn number 6. and then got down the inside and powers away on the banking here at Daytona. Great move for second.
And Roman DeAngelis has not raced here before. Chris Wright has. He has been here in the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge in the past, so he knows the bankings, the little familiarities, the passing zones. For Roman DeAngelis, this is a learning experience. And Roman last year, doing the Porsche GT3 Cup, as you mentioned, John, had a lot of new tracks. Well, he got, let's see, 8 wins in the US last year. Not bad for that youngster.
Oh, but it looks very much as though Roman DeAngelis was held up coming out of the bus stop, and a spin for the 42.
Jim Garrett again.
And he's dropped all the way down already to 24th position. The very patriotic red, white and blue Ligier.
Ooh, big lockup.
Did he get the left rear Continental right off the circuit there? Because the right front tyre was pawing the air going into the west end. Now I think he may have damaged his rear suspension there. That car looks like it's sitting down on the left-hand side as he pulls away. Maybe not.
It was going sideways for a very long time though, John, so at the very least, he's going to be bouncing around in the car every lap.
Nothing worse. He's moving again. That hasn't done his position any good at all. It's a change of season format, a transfer of the format from sprint to endurance racing here for the IMSA Prototype Challenge. And this year, an hour and 45 minutes here and 2 drivers. And the drive times here?
Minimum 40 minutes.
40 minutes,
Minimum
yeah.
40. And there's an interesting little wrinkle with this. If we get a full course caution, you can't come into the, well, you can come into the pit lane, but you can't change drivers.
The pit lane will not open
Okay, so
under
you can't
caution.
come into the pit lane.
If you come in, it is emergency services rules. So the only reasons you better come in the pit lane are because you have no fuel or you don't have enough fuel to make it around one more time. Now, when we go to a caution, if we go to a caution, I should say, there will be a wave around procedure, but there will not be a follow-up pass around because we're not opening the pits. So that throws a wrench into things. If the caution comes around 40 minutes, you're not going to see people diving into pit lane like you do in our other series.
Okay, so the first quarter of an hour of the 2018 IMSA season is complete. And looking carefully as the leader, Austin McCusker, goes by to the right rear of that car, and I think there's something missing there.
The left rear looks like there's a little
the
bit
left
more light shining through it than the right rear.
So maybe that was when he came off the curb then, coming through the International Horseshoe now. Let's have another look.
I think it was the turn-in curb to the bus stop that damaged it, which would have been the left rear.
It's not slowing him down. A 45.5 last time around was still faster than any of the other LMP3 cars. Still leading in the MPC category, by the way. Wyatt Schwab from Stuart Retty now has dropped 5 seconds, and he's under pressure from Robert Masson, recovering in that number 11 car.
Well,
oh no, that's the other way around. Retty's gone by him.
Indeed. I mean, there was literally side by side as they came across the line on that last lap. I mean, there was inches between them, absolutely no to tell. Meanwhile, Wyatt Schwab, the youngster there, making his professional debut, is doing a fabulous job. He has gone. He's the only, really the only youngster in the NPC cars this season. But he's got his eyes set on the future in the sport. And talking of people having an eye on the future in the sport, Jay Howard, who runs a very successful team in the Formula 4 Championship over here, and Jay Howard is a former USF 2000 champion, a champion in Indy Lights, racing IndyCar and Indy 500. He has bought two Norma LMP3 cars, and he hopes to be debuting those maybe in the next round of the championship.
There's drama here at the front of the field early on in the 2018 season, because that 47 car of Austin McCusker, which he shares with David True, the Swiss driver, Hop Swiss, or has a Swiss license at least, has, I'm contractually obliged to say Hop Swiss at that point for my mother-in-law. And that has got damage to the left rear. The eagle eyes of Shea Adam spotted that a couple of laps ago, now confirmed as off has gone the number 25.
Joel Janko.
And
that's along the backstretch, isn't it?
Running in 7th position. It's a car that Kenton Cook will take over later on.
And Kenton's going to have a lot of work to do. That was coming out of the bus stop, and just too much curb on the penultimate part, the last right-handed part, and got airborne, and again damage to the rear right hand side of that car when the car hit the curbs. So these extremely extended aerodynamic diffuser parts behind the rear wheels are proving, Shea, to be a little bit precarious as far as damage is concerned if you start riding some of the higher curbs.
Well, and speaking of precarious, the location of the rear splitter piece that came off of Joel Janko's car is still on the racing line in the bus stop. This could cause our first full course caution of the season. But yes, that portion of the car is particularly susceptible to damage if you take too much curb, which we have seen in the past, as we have a pass right through the tri-oval. Man, that's fun to see with the MPC cars.
Well, yeah, excuse me, Shea,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
to say, that's the battle for second place.
Yes, it is.
Which Michael Klemecki just passed both of those two guys we were talking about a few moments ago.
Well, Michael Klemecki's now scored as the leader, so that was the battle for the lead all of
he
a
is,
sudden.
and where's number 18? He's in the pit lane.
Yes. So Schwab into the pit
With
lane.
a problem.
With a big problem.
Oh my goodness, look at the damage to the front of that car. The whole of the left front is gone. The 18 car has hit something. Now, did it hit the wall or did it hit another car?
Be fairly hard to hit on the left side of wall here
Yeah, and
at Daytona.
continue, unless you were going backwards. And I think that front suspension looks deranged.
Yep.
They've pulled up, I've got the binoculars on it, but it's
On
the
the
far
wrong
side. But fortunately our TV pictures are picking it up. IMSA Radio and TV together here at Daytona for the first round. The Scouts of America 1 hour 45-minute challenge for the IMSA Prototypes presented by Mazda. Oh, there's a certain amount of resignation. Oh dear, is that a bit of inexperience, Jeremy, do you think, from
Well,
the young man?
I don't know what happened out.
He
in
was
the race
5
track.
seconds up on the road, wasn't he?
At least, I know he's a good bit more than that, I think.
It was not a puncture, though. That is
No,
important to
true.
note, because the Continental is still in perfect shape. And the crew guys were actually brushing it off to see what condition it was in. But we now have Wyatt Schwab in the pits. Jim Garrett made his way back in the 42. And Howard Jacobs in the 77 is still in the pit lane, having come in on lap 4.
That's how it stands with 1 hour and 24 minutes. How good is that? 1 hour and 24 minutes still to go. The leader, Austin McCusker, then in the 47. Round the high side, over to our left.
I'm not surprised that the gap has gone out between first, second, and third, because second and third were battling against each other.
Yeah.
That always takes speed off and allows time for the leader. But the gap is growing as Michael Weldon puts in the fastest Sector 1 time. It's not enough, though. The gap is now 12 seconds from first to second.
Yeah, but once he's been released, it'll be interesting to see how he gets that going. This battle for 5th position, the Harvey Riley comes towards us now.
Yes.
The only Harvey Riley in the field, with Gary Gibson down into the first corner, and Cameron Castle's in the black and red Ligier number 75. He's driving that on his own for Performance Tech Motorsports. All of the cars on Continental tyres, of course. And Cameron Castle's then. I just wonder what the strategy will be and how these guys are managing their fuel, managing their Continental tyres before they have to come in, and where they're expecting to do the race. We're still, 10 minutes or so away from getting the 40-minute minimum that each driver has to do, and then it'll be a question of how fast the two driver cars, how quickly after that they want to come in, how soon after that will come in, because the pit stops, as we know, are all going to be 4 minutes. I suppose if you're driving on your own, you're not waiting for a yellow flag, so it doesn't matter. What you're doing is feeling out the tyres. I presume everybody will put some tyres on it. We've not seen this before.
I was talking to some of the teams this morning, and they're not sure.
Well,
some are planning or were planning on it, and some weren't. So we'll see how that transpires. Michael Weldon, another good lap there. The first two cars, almost identical laps, 1 minute 45.2 for Austin McCusker, who now leads handily, is now working his way through some of the LMP3 traffic. He's working with past Matt Dickin, car number 17 on that lap. Matt Dickin running in the 11th place overall. McCuskers' lead now is over 12 seconds.
Matt Dickin, who will be handing over to his longtime driving partner and coach, Corey Lewis, a little bit later. Another one of the P1 Motorsports cars. Now, they have 3 cars under their umbrella, all LMP3 Ligiers, so they can split the strategy if they want. They could try tires on one for this race, no tires, and then figure out if it'll be more useful for Sebring.
Here comes Cameron Castles right up into the slipstream, coming down in the International Horseshoe, down the inside driver's left. Ooh. He's very decisive though. He made that move early. He stuck his car into the gap and made sure that Gary Gibson could see him coming. And I think that's so important here, because you're doing a lot of hard braking very late with these downforce cars. And Gary saw that, gave him room. Good driving by both. Yeah,
hugely experienced is Gary Gibson. Been around the sport a long time, does 72 previous starts just in this championship. So it goes back a long, long way. He's never won a race, but 9 second-place finishes over his career in this series. That was a great pass.
He set that up coming out of the first corner share, didn't he? Stayed to the right-hand side through that little kink. And at that point, there was no real option for Gary unless he just turned down on him, and that would have been disaster for both.
Exactly, and for Cameron Castles, he's raced here before. He knows how it's worked. He won here last year, not in this series, but he knows Daytona. That's an advantage for Cameron. Gary Gibson knows the series, but doesn't know Daytona.
Yeah. Very good point. Meanwhile, in NPC, Michael Klemecki, having worked his way through into the lead, is now being closed on again by Robert Masson, who turned his best lap on the last time round. This time, as they came across to complete their 17th lap, Michael Klemecki and car number 31. And that battle, by the way, was just ahead of the 2 prototypes that we were watching that battle for a few moments ago.
Fifth position.
Yeah, 5th position. Car number 31, he's just turned his best lap in response, so that battle is heating up ahead of NPC in 12th, 13th and 14th places.
Yeah, and that's just a second or so, 1.2 seconds as they went across the line underneath our feet. The blue and white number 31 is the leader. There's an hour and 10 minutes of the 1 hour and 45 Scouts of America IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda season opener here at Daytona International Speedway. John Hindhaugh, Jeremy Shaw and Shea Adam watching the action for you. And that blue and white 31 car leads the Mazda Prototype Challenge class for the smaller engined open top cars. 4-cylinder, 2-litre. This little screamer of an engine. And the next open top car back is Robert Masson. He's gradually been closing in, and both of those drivers now turning their quickest laps of the race, and they've got faster LMP3 cars coming through. Remember, 2 classes here. The closed, it's easy to spot, even for us. Closed cockpit cars are the big 5-litre V8 LMP3 cars running to the LMP3 Global Formula with 3 different chassis manufacturers, Ligier being the most predominant, and then RV and Norma each with a chassis apiece here, a car apiece. The MPC's all the same chassis and engine combination. The Elan chassis with that Mazda 4-cylinder 2-litre engine, and running very nicely indeed. They are the slightly higher pitched engines, and on some of the more twisty circuits last year, they gave the big cars a run for their money. They're extremely light and nimble, and our leader at the moment having to keep his wits about him as Gary Gibson goes through in the red and white RV.
On our timing screen, it is showing Jay Salmon in the number 46 car. Now that is the MPC car that sort of has the zebra-like livery. It's showing as stopped, but I can't see anybody missing on track.
Must be in the second sector, so he's either at the very end of the infield section or somewhere down towards the bus stop.
Mystery.
The S has disappeared, so maybe he's just had a long sector. We'll keep an eye open for that car.
Michael Klemecki, our MPC leader, is a guy who never has really done the full calendar of this series, and now being closed in on very rapidly by Dr. Masson. For Michael, though, he's had so much success in this series. Last year, he got 3 wins. The year before, he had 4 wins out of a very limited schedule, but winning at Daytona would be something special.
Cool temperatures, but hot competition here at Daytona in the early part of January. The row before the Rolex 24 Daytona weekend has our first IMSA race of the year. the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. And there's been a shake-up in the standings for both of our classes, and that's because we've had pit stops. The 47 Motorsports Norma M30 came in. Austin McCusker handed over to his teammate David Drew. First time we've had competitive pit stops in this championship, new for this year. That allowed Roman De Angelis to take over the lead for IMSA Motorsports. Now you have the same mandatory pit stop time, whether it's one driver or two. Just IMSA got their time sorted quickly and correctly. That meant that the MPC leader, Robert Masson, took over the lead of the motor race as a whole before he pitted. Stuart Retty now in second position for the MPC class. In third in MPC now is the number 36, Paul LaHaye, driven One Motorsports Elan DP2. And he is in the pits as well. Right, that makes sense. That's his pit stop. I was about to say that's a lot of room. So I had anyway missed out John Brownson in the 34 car, the Eurosport racing car, who I think did his, well, he's still got his pits to do.
Yes, indeed.
Because his pit early on was on the 4th lap, and Shea seems to think that was for a drive-through.
Yep.
Yeah.
He certainly didn't stop in his box.
Right.
And he did not take on any fuel.
He's driving on his own anyway, so
yes.
Again, it's not a question of drive time, it's a question of him. He's actually now gone to be scored as leader of MPC in 5th overall, but he has a 4-minute stop still to do. So I reckon then that when all this shakes out, in 3rd position should be the Performance Tech Motorsport number 18 again of Wyatt Schwab. Should be back in 3rd position in MPC.
Yeah, and the question there is, does he need to make
yes.
an additional pit stop, presumably
for fuel?
Yeah.
And because his pit stop earlier on was not of the 4-minute length, because it was the damage repair.
Yeah, we don't know how long it was, do we? Do we know how long it was? No, we don't.
I made a mental note of when he came in and when he left, and it wasn't long enough.
That was way back
I do remember that.
It was way back on lap number 11. Head of the field, David Drew is closing down on Roman De Angelis. He's got 35 minutes to gain 11.5 seconds. And we've seen this before in these Prototype Challenge races. The IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda has provided us some great racing since we brought the LMP3 cars in. And it looks like we've got another outstanding race which will go right through the season, Shea.
Yeah, we go from here to Sebring International Raceway in March, so a little bit of a break of recovery time, as we do have that number 18 Wyatt Schwab back onto the pit lane. This will be his long pit stop. From Sebring, it's on to Barber Motorsports Park in April, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park in July. Can you imagine these cars around there? That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Virginia International Raceway, VIR, in August, and then finishing out the season with the IMSA Spectacular Weekend, Petit Le Mans, Road Atlanta.
So they're at the GT Festival at VIR in August.
Yes,
Excellent.
they are.
Only prototypes that will be there. Another pit lane caller for one of the MPCs. It's the bright orange car that's coming in.
A little squirrely under braking.
Is that Brownson, the 34? Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. Eurosport racing car with the white nose piece.
Yeah, the veteran, 116 starts he's done in this championship.
Is that all?
Yeah, dating all the way back to making his debut back in 2007.
Two-time Masters champion, is he not?
Three-time Masters champion, I think, yeah.
New fastest first sector, Kenton Koch trying to make up some time in the 25. Ligier sitting in 8th position at the moment. And in fact, well, other than Michael Weldon, who's back in the 44s, I think Michael Weldon's the only driver that's been in the 44s this far into the race.
Yep.
And he's not been consistent. He's just in a 44, then a 47. Kenton doing a 45.1 and a 45.3. So he's doing some quick times here.
Yeah, but meanwhile, Roman De Angelis, who leads this race, his last last 4 laps have been 45.82, 45.92, 45.93, 45.87. Love that consistency, Roman De Angelis, and that is why, even though David Drew in that number 47 car, the Norma, has apparently a faster car, he's not making much inroads. He's just pulling in maybe a couple or 3/10 of a second per lap. That is not enough, even with half an hour remaining. So he's going to have to step up his pace as David Drew if he wants to snatch away that win from Roman De Angelis.
Taking half a second out of him last time around, 45.5 by De Angelis. David Drew 45 flat. And that slight improvement from De Angelis from the times that Jeremy just read you out there was down to a very fast first sector. Indeed, it was Roman De Angelis' fastest first sector of the race. That is 54 seconds long, that first sector, if you call in the meal, which Daniel Morad is, and he's just done his and his car's fastest lap of the race. The number 30 Ligier down to a 45 flat as well, as he's trying to chase down the number 3 of Max Hanratty, who is now on the timing screen. Thank you. Timing and scoring. Thanks, Al Kamel, for that.
Daniel Morad would love nothing more than to be told you have a car 10 seconds ahead of you, go get him.
Yeah.
That's what he lives for.
Of course, every driver likes to be completely released. Was that a little mistake there by Roman De Angelis as he was coming down to the International Horseshoe? Or was he just making sure that the car in close proximity knew what he was doing?
Well,
It's Kenton.
It's Kenton Cook, isn't it? Yeah.
Well,
So
Kenton's about to unlap himself.
Correct.
That's what's happening there.
Yeah. Trying to unlap.
So this is the leader, and behind it's not the second place car, it's the 8th place car. As into turn 1 comes Robert Masson. By the way, John Brownson, when he pitted there, was in the lead of the race, that 34 car, but still in the pits at the moment. So it will be Robert Masson who comes through next time around to reclaim the lead from Scott Retty in second. And up into third then. Now my calculations have gone awry a bit here, because Schwab has pitted again in the 18 car. So that means Tassio Otis will be in third position in the 28. The Wolf Motorsport car that he took over from Bart Wolf. Do you think
No. Well, yeah, it's good.
It depends when Brownson comes out the pits, doesn't it?
It absolutely does, yes. He's still sitting there at the moment.
He is.
Meanwhile, tell you, the other guy who's flying at the moment is Daniel Morad.
Yeah.
He's taken over that car number 30 from Chris Wright. He's just gone into the 44s, 144.9 last time around, and he's closing in inexorably on his Extreme Speed Motorsport teammate Max Hanratty in car number 3. The gap was over 12 seconds. It's come down to 10 seconds, 9 seconds, now 6.5 last time around. So
That was courtesy of 3 seconds plus made on that last lap.
Indeed.
And that was Max Hanratty doing a 47.3. David Drew doing a 47.8. And there must have been a gaggle of traffic, because even Roman De Angelis was down in the 46s, 46.0. So I'm guessing there that those guys hit traffic at an inopportune moment, because they've all had their times pushed out. Now the question is, will Daniel Morad then hit that little gaggle of traffic, or will he be able to power past? But a 44.9 puts him the only second driver to be in the 44s, along with Michael Weldon. 44.7, by the way, is the fastest lap of the race by Michael Weldon on all the way back on lap 13, and we're on lap 41 now. Yes, and all of a sudden David Drew is back out to 12 seconds behind.
And it was a gaggle of traffic, because Morad's last lap time through was a
47.9,
46.2.
yeah, 46.2, then a 47.9 by Cameron Castles. The Andy Pilgrim and Henry Gilbert Ligier goes through the International Horseshoe. Still lots of racing to come in our first competitive outing of the year for the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda.
Our leader crosses the start-finish line now. That would be 54 laps, and now goes through second place. It's not over.
Stuart Retty has closed down to about 11 seconds on Robert Masson. That's been similar to that. It was 13 seconds and he got it down a little bit. But so Tassio Otis is a further, well, more than a minute and 15 or so. So that looks like the top 3 in NPC. Credit Dr. Masson, by the way, he's in the top 10 in 8th position. That's a solid finish by an MPC car, albeit 4 laps off the pace, but round here 4 laps off the pace is not bad at all.
Yeah, and probably three laps remaining, I would suggest here, and 5.2 seconds the gap between first and second.
A little bit of a dangerous moment has just been overcome by the leader in MPC. Cameron Castles was behind him, but now he's got through, so no repeat of Cameron's misdemeanour earlier on, for which he was pinged for a drive-through penalty. 5.2 seconds then, David Drew, the man from Switzerland in the 47 Motorsports car. Austin McCusker claimed pole position and handed the car over. It's maybe a snafu at the pit stop, something that we'll have to find out post-race. My goodness, Adam, that could be costly.
It could be, and on the flip side, did Roman DeAngelo serve all 4 minutes? Because it was a very tight window showing his outlap was 5:40. It's going to be close. Roman DeAngelis, David Drew, Daniel Morad, 3 guys from 2 different countries, 2 Canadians and a Swiss represented. First American, Maxwell Hanratty back and forth. And then Kenton Cook, Josh Hurley.
Austin McCusker, of course, in the lead car.
Yes, true
yeah,
enough.
yeah.
Yes, good point. The guys at the front of the field are trading tenths of seconds through the different sectors. It's fantastic to watch the timing screens. The sun just beginning to get a little bit low. The shadows beginning to lengthen here. So we're in the mid-afternoon at Daytona in this early part of the year. And when we come back for the Rolex, it's a very long darkness period. Well over 13 hours of darkness.
I reckon it'll be a white flag next time around, and that's 55 laps completed. On that lap, Roman DeAndres turned 145.5. That's the best lap he's turned since lap 46, 10 laps ago. He's got the bit between his teeth now. He can taste that victory champagne.
And that's only a tenth away from his best lap of the race. David Drew has not given up. He's just done his best first sector as the gap comes down below 5 seconds. Oh my goodness, he's gonna wish, I think Drew's gonna wish that this had been a 2-hour race and not a 1 hour 45.
Oh yeah, he'd probably, at this stage
1 hour
he'd be
50.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It might literally be that close, you're right.
Yeah.
He's going to catch DeAngelis, but can he pass him?
I don't think he is.
He's going to need some help, certainly, because he's, the last couple laps, he was 3/10 of a second quicker on the last lap. But this on
taken
this lap,
7/10 out of him already, and he's only halfway around the lap. Now, is it white flag?
There's DeAngelis, white
flag. Jeremy Shaw gets it right, as he always does.
There goes David Drew in second place.
And it's come down to 3.5 seconds. A 1:44.661 for David Drew. That's a stunning lap. Not quite the fastest. That still goes to Kenton Cook.
But it's his best lap.
Yeah. What a time to pull it
lap.
out. What a time to pull it out.
Roman DeAngelis has traffic in front of him on the circuit.
Qualifying, by the way, this morning, first thing this morning, really cold conditions by Austin McCusker in that caliber 47, 145.0. So the top 4 or 5 cars well underneath that during this race.
Oh, DeAngelis struggling for grip through the West Horseshoe. Has he worked his Continental tyres too hard? Is that what the problem's been? No, it can't be. His last lap was good. Maybe. Is he losing concentration? Surely not. He's a young man. He's got an MPC car ahead of him.
He'll be fine. He's getting good coaching, I'm sure, from Alan Liddell and the rest of the guys at ANSA Motorsports, IMSA Motorsports crew.
And he's taken almost a second out of Drew in that first sector, and that's enough. He's going to win it. So long as he makes no mistakes now. He's heading into the braking area at the bus stop right opposite the start-finish line. He's more than halfway around the final circuit. 4 seconds left on the clock. The checkered flag is in hand down on the starter stand underneath our feet and slightly to our left. And the Ligier is going to take the first victory of the season. Roman DeAngelis driving solo for IMSA Motorsports in an entry that was speculative to say the least, takes the opening IMSA race of 2018 and wins the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda, the Scouts of America, race here at Daytona.
The Ligier over the Norma for race 1 at the very least, as we await the MPC class leader. It is currently Dr. Robert Masson with an 11-second, 12-second lead over Stuart Reddy. Where are they on track though, Jeremy?
Not sure actually, but that was a great effort by Roman De Andres. He actually extended his lead on that final lap. A little bit further back though, Kenton Cook slowed right down on that fastest lap, maybe he was
stopped in
yes,
turn 1.
exactly. He stopped in turn 1. He lost a position and did cross the finish line, however, but 1 lap behind the leader. And where is Robert Masson?
He's coming around the banking now into turn 4, NASCAR turn 4. Our first ever MPC winner around Daytona International Speedway in about 10 seconds time. As we wait just to make sure he doesn't have any issues. Now he's crossed the line, his fist is pumping in the air. Dr. Masson, first win in the series, comes here at home.
And thanks to the IMSA collective, we've had a number of people that have timed unofficially the pit stop of the leader, Roman De Angelis, at around about, I've got a number of bids, anything between 4:10 and 4:15.
Yep.
So that should be okay. Great run by Dr. Robert Masson, who'll take the Mazda Prototype Challenge category. IMSA Motorsports are the first winners in this new era of IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda. Preparations underway for our first victory lane celebrations of 2018 in the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda here at Daytona. What a way to get the season underway, and congratulations to IMSA Motorsports and Roman De Angelis, who win it in the Ligier from the Norma. In second place, McCusker and Drew. Third, the number 30, Chris Wright and Daniel Morad for Extreme Motorsports. Well done to Dr. Masson, Robert Masson, who takes the MPC category, from Stuart Reddy in second place, and Tassio Otis and Bart Wolf for Wolf Motorsports in third in their category. Chilly out there on the circuit, but great racing. Let's hear from the winners.
Very stressful and very exciting, but yeah, neutral. I can't be happier about the car that IMSA Motorsports gave me. The opportunity they gave me this weekend. We didn't have the package in the beginning of the week, but that's not when it matters. It's at the end of the race is when it matters. So we put it all together. I still can't believe we won. So that's an awesome feeling.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Excited for a good season?
Very excited. Thank you.
I told you. Great job, buddy!
The points table, of course, reflecting the single race that we've had. So Roman De Angelis ahead of Austin McCusker and David Drew, with Daniel Morad and Chris Wright in third position. In MPC, 35 points for Robert Masson. Stuart Reddy in second place ahead of Bart Wolf, and Tassio Otis teamed up in the 28 car.
Team did a great job. We had some technical problems yesterday, but race was perfect. Everything was phenomenal.
Excited for a good season?
I am. I'm trying to follow my kid. My kid set the good tone, and he was a good rabbit.
That good rabbit is Kyle Masson, son of Dr. Robert, who's made the jump already into the big show as far as IMSA competition's concerned. I think he'll be a very proud son watching his dad take his first ever victory in what is Dr. Masson's relatively short motorsport career to date. A chance for a second victory for him and the rest of the IMSA Prototype Challenge presented by Mazda competitors will be down in Sebring in the middle weekend of March as part of the 12 Hours weekend. No doubt that the competition and this new format with longer races and pit stops being universally enjoyed by teams, competitors and spectators alike. And you can follow the whole series with Shea Adams, Jeremy Shaw and me, John Hindorf, throughout 2018. Hope you've enjoyed our season opener from Daytona International Speedway. We'll see you at Sebring. Bye for now.